What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Hidden Power. This is a Pokemon podcast. Pokemon Legends ZA is right around the corner, and today we're going to be reviewing some new data points, some official images from the Pokemon Company that might help us predict what the starters are going to be for Pokemon Legends ZA. I would say this is kind of a part 2 to the video we put out a couple weeks ago. So if you haven't watched that, you can watch that when this is done. Links are in the description. Also, stay tuned at the end of the show. We're going to be talking about the Switch 2, the new rumors for the Switch 2. If the Switch 2 has dual screen, we might be getting some new Pokemon ports. My name is DustyGogoat. Today I'm also with the LumiosePost.
Hi.
And SoulSilverArt.
What's up?
How you guys doing? Soul's still in Italy. Lumi, what are you up to?
I'm not in Italy.
Okay, neither am I, honestly.
But I am in North Carolina, which is the Italy.
Yeah, that's what they say. That's what they say. They say North Carolina is the Italy of the East Coast. That's what they say.
Yeah, don't look that up.
It's definitely not. It's definitely not New Jersey, right? So
Definitely not.
Let's start with this. This is an old image. Don't roll your eyes. This image is a TCG, a promotional TCG pack that came out. This is probably like a month or so old. But we never actually formally talked about it.
Don't click off the video.
Don't click off the video. Who's going to jump in and explain this?
We're starting small and working our way up.
We're
working from
things.
least credible
Yes.
to most credible. That's
Yes.
what we're working with.
Just to prove to you guys, we got a couple more things
We
here.
should have done a tier list.
This is look at
Of
just
the most credible and least.
Yeah.
we've got a piece.
S-tier credibility.
We've got a piece of art here. We've got some more art here. These are official posts from the Pokemon Company. Let's start with this one first. This is a TCG pack. It's called a Fun Pack for Temporal Forces. And this is interesting because, well, one, the flag gets raised because there's 3 starter Pokemon from various regions. Grass, water, fire. And also what we saw, there was another Fun Pack around the time of Legends Arceus where the 3 starters of Legends Arceus were on the cover of that pack art. But Lumi, you want to jump in here with this explanation?
Yeah, so this is for I think an advent calendar or something. But
It is for 2024.
Yes, it's for 2024, but the big thing here is that it very likely means nothing because Temporal Forces is a TCG set that has nothing to do with Legends ZA. We know about that set. It might even already be out. Don't quote me on that.
Yeah, it is.
But
I think so.
it is. Okay.
So,
yeah, and it obviously has nothing to do with Legends ZA in it. In the set, there happens to be some cards for the Turtwig line, some cards for the Toadal line, so cards for the Litten line. So these 3 starters here are representing Temporal Forces, not anything else. The same thing happened. I tried to find photo evidence of it, but I couldn't. But that doesn't mean it isn't out there. That just means I didn't have a lot of time to look. But Joe Merrick touched on this and said they did the same thing 2-3 years ago or something, and there was a pack that had a mixed match of starters that were not relevant to anything, and it was just for the set.
I don't think he said that.
I think it did.
Exactly.
Okay.
You should look it up.
I think we should have a trial by combat.
I'll give you the lowdown really quick on these. So basically, when you first see it, you're like, there's positive point and a negative point.
You just get kind of excited because this is a good roundup of starters.
These are the ones that we want.
I want
these ones.
Actually, these are the starters that I chose in the last video.
I think you did, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
Spoilers.
That's great.
Spoilers. I hope that it's them. So I did 2 big breakdown tweets on this, and I pointed out that Totodile, like we talked about in the last video, has a reason. It's got Parisian, what's the word? Not
inspiration.
Roots, but yeah, it could have Parisian inspiration to be a regional form of Totodile. Same with Litten. And then I think this is something I left out of the last video. I think that almost certainly there has to be a Gen 4 representation in the trio of Legends ZA
just as a
starters.
callback
Gen
to
4
Legends.
gets nothing.
No, because Gen 4 didn't get anything last time.
Gen 4 hasn't gotten anything ever.
And when you think of
no megas, just for listeners, no megas, right? They get no regional forms. They get no Gigantamax forms. They got no special Z moves, right? Their generation got remade and they got nothing. Sorry.
The only thing they have is that like they do get some megas, and then Gallade shares a paradox with Gardevoir.
Oh no, I meant the starters.
Oh, I thought you meant Gym 4. Because honestly, Gym 4
Gen
in
4
general gets nothing. Like,
anyways,
they got some megas, but like they haven't gotten regional variants. They haven't gotten cross-gen evolutions. Now, albeit most of it was cross-gen evolutions.
All right, let's stay on track. Yeah.
I did send you.
Let me break it down for you. Once you do it, you sent him something?
Yeah, I sent him something. It's an example of back in Black and White. They did the same thing, and it's a mixed match of starters. It's Bulbasaur, Piplup, and Torchic.
All right, I'm pulling that up.
Card. And it was just because,
Okay. Soul, do you want to continue your point?
Yes. So what I was going to say is Gen 1 starters, they have the Megas, they have whatever they have. Gen 2, we have Typhlosion just got the Hisuian. So they're like less. Gen 3, they have their Megas. Gen 4 has nothing at all from any of their starters. Gen 5 has Samurott. Gen 6 has nothing, but this is Kalos, so we can either count them as they're going to get megas or they're not going to get anything. What can we say? Gen 7 has Decidueye, and Gen 8 has Gigantamax. That's
Gen 7 also has exclusive Z moves.
They have that, and then Gen 9 is too fresh, too new. So it's like only Gen 4. Yeah, only Gen 4 has had nothing and no attention or anything.
That would be nice if they got something.
Yeah, and in Legends Arceus, they couldn't get anything because they just made them wild Pokemon in it. So it's like maybe they wanted to make them. Because when you think of like making a Legends game for a Gen 4 region, you're like, okay, so I'm going to change the Gen 4 starters.
Yeah.
So maybe they had that idea, like the concept could have been at the beginning, like we're going to make the Gen 4 starters have regional forms.
No, that's a really good point.
They might have changed it along the way.
You know,
and we know
it has to have one.
Yeah. No, I'm totally with you. And I think to back your point, we know that like the Game Freak's process is that they write down ideas, they document ideas.
Yep.
I'm sure they've had ideas for new forms or megas or whatever it might be for the Gen 4 starters, for probably all the starters, right? When they're drafting up what the starters are going to be for Legends
they
Arceus
probably do have them for all
or
of
Legends
them.
ZA, they have a whole bunch of concepts. Not only, and I'm not talking about like a text document. I'm talking about like concept art. I'm sure of it. They start with an idea, they sketch it out. Let's see if this could even work. Whatever, we'll shelf it. James Turner can tweet it at some point. We'll have an intern leak it. And that's the kind of stuff that might show up eventually. So it's not out of the question.
At the same time, those reasons that I just gave don't mean that this is a hint to that.
Right.
Like we could get this trio, we could actually get this exact trio, and it could be a complete coincidence that they were on this pack. But the reasoning that I just gave you is the reasoning that they got it in anyway, because these are the two most Parisian starters that we
can
could
you
have.
Can you explain the Parisian thing? Because I really don't understand.
I mean, I did in the last episode. You guys should go watch it.
Yeah.
Right?
For me, I think it mostly makes sense because of the, like you say Parisian, but I'm thinking of like Paris. Oh, that's what you mean, Parisian.
Yeah, that's Parisian.
Parisian. I was thinking of
Persian. You were
literally.
Persian.
I was thinking
Like
Parisian.
Persia,
Yeah.
Persia.
Okay.
Yeah, so
I was like,
have
what is the connection there? Gotcha. Okay.
They have the potential to have very Parisian Paris inspiration.
Thank you. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
You know what's
I agree.
interesting? A bit of a spoiler warning, but you were talking about how the Gen 4 starters are like the most prime to get this. In each of the things we're going to cover today, a Gen 4 starter's in it.
It has to be. That's what I'm saying.
So
there has to be one. I think there has to be one. So it's like, which one is it gonna be?
Yeah.
I'll give you other points for this because there's another really well. I guess Lumi kind of just debunked it a bit, but I made a tweet that they on all of the other ones. But how old is this though, Lumi?
This is old.
So old.
This is black and white.
So it's 10 years old.
Yeah,
I gotta say the set art is crazy. Dark Explorers. It looks like Yu-Gi-Oh font. It's insane that this is a Pokemon product. Sorry, that's unrelated, but it's just
it's good.
It's jarring.
It's very observant. Anyway, I agree.
Look at it. It's crazy. It's like blood red. It's like Daedra.
It was that time.
Yeah.
Oh, Daedra.
Daedra
Shout
armor.
out to Daedra.
Oh no, true. Shout out to Daedra.
So, what was I gonna say? I made a tweet on it, but I didn't do much research on it. I saw like all the packs of the cards, like tons of fun packs like these.
Yeah.
And every time that they do starters, it's always a set. It's always starters that already existed. You can look. I don't know if you can pull up the tweet, but
No. This is okay. This is insane. I haven't even seen this all together.
But you could look at them. They do random starters, but they never do three
All of it
together.
together. Yeah,
except
that's
for
a
that
good
one
point.
that Lumi, the one that Lumi just picked out was the only one I'd ever seen. So you even just looking at this, you'll see like, look, it's Rowlet, Poplio, and Litten. Like every time that they do a trio, it's
You got the
trio
Unova starters,
Mhm.
but that's obviously they're together, and then you got Chimchar and Oshawott. Okay, but it's also a Dino, so that's not it. Oddish and Belda or Baltoy, those are not starters. Fennekin's all by itself on Fates Collide. Sun and Moon, there's no starters. Sun and Moon, there are the 3 starters. Yeah, okay, so that's just some of them.
even there's a Legends Arceus one, and they are their starters. Like
Yeah, the Astral Radiance. Now, in fairness, like Astral Radiance
Yeah.
was the Legends Arceus set, so like the
Exactly,
difference there is like it is
literally-
representing that,
Yeah.
whereas
Yeah.
this is representing like we know this set does not like if this was a future set, I'd be willing to give this some more viability, but it's the fact that this is a set that represents nothing, you know?
Yeah.
That
I know
makes this
the
so
only
weird.
the only thing to me is just that every other time, except see if you hadn't pulled that up, Lumi, I'd be like every other time. But that one time in black and white, they clearly did it.
Yeah.
But every other time, the starters are always.
Is there
their
a
trio.
lost game where that was intentional?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Hey, there's a gap year in Gem 5.
Dude, yeah.
But you see, when you're scrolling through this, you see like they're their starters. That's the Gen 4 starters.
Yeah, we're looking
you
at
know,
pack art for
we
listeners.
There's
saw-
the Sword and Shield ones, the Sun and Moon ones were
Look at
there.
this pack for Battle Styles, Tepig's all by itself.
Yeah, they do random
Clearly,
starters.
that's a hint that the original Legends Arceus starters were Galarian, Slowpoke, Tepig, and Shinx.
Yeah, clearly that was it.
Like,
yeah.
I don't even know why we're debating.
Yeah, Silver Tempest, Pikachu, Snorunt, and Petilil. That was originally going to be the starter trio for Legends Arceus.
It was.
Here's another one for
that's common
Breakpoint:
knowledge.
Froakie, Luxio, and Psyduck.
Two
It's
water
obvious.
starters.
Somebody would love that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of
Anyway,
funny looking
like-
at all these combos. I'm like, why are they picked? They're so different.
It's because
Anyways,
it's
yeah.
just, stuff in the set.
Yeah.
They're all random, right? But this one, they don't put 3 starters together unless they're their trio. Unless
Dude, that's
it was the one that Lumi just pulled out of the back of his back pocket.
And I guess here's another thing.
But that was
right?
10 years ago too, so
Yeah.
who knows? All I'm saying is this could be a mistake. Somebody could have the information on which ones they were and then have just put it out. That's the only way
I don't
see
think
it
it's a
being
mistake. It
something.
doesn't need to be a mistake. It could just be like
They could have the information and have put it on this and like just being like, oh, this is cheeky. Let's just do this. Obviously, it didn't come from Game Freak. You know, like Game Freak. was
sure,
like,
yeah.
put
But I
these
don't. I
on
don't.
there.
I'm less inclined to believe that like us getting this is a mistake. Like it has to go through a lot of people. Like a piece of physical merchandise has to go through a lot of people. Like this isn't 1998, right? Where there's like
I'm saying like it wasn't intentional. Do you know what I mean? So like that's what I mean by a mistake. I don't think
this
it's
pack
intentional.
existing with this triple with these 3 starters is not. You're saying is not a hint, is what you're saying.
Not on purpose.
I don't think this is. Yeah.
Yeah.
If
If it
this
is,
happens
it's
to
not
be
on
the trio,
purpose.
this was a coincidence.
Or they know about it though, Lumi. You see what I'm saying? Or they know about it. Somebody, whoever made this, knew about it and just put it on there and was just like, "Hey."
Another thing that's really
not for
interesting.
anything.
Even that, I just don't see as likely because
I agree.
Pokemon's so
But-
fragmented. Like the people who are doing the cards are not touching the games at all. And then it's also too important to point out that this is a
That's
pack
not totally
for
true.
an English set.
Yeah.
I know.
You know?
You got my point, Lumi. I was gonna put the nail in the coffin because I'm fighting for it now. This is the positive, but the negative is exactly what you just said.
Right,
So
like
this is just for English. This is not
Right.
like a Japanese thing.
So
it's just
what
like,
are the odds that there is what are the odds that an English speaking person, like, not Japan, but in the West somewhere, it may be, Europe or something, it might not be America, but someone in the West knows the Legend ZA starters at this early, and also happens to work on the cards.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is my hypothesis.
It's not impossible, but there's too many hoops there.
This is my hypothesis. It depends how the information is passed down. You know what I mean? Like, who told them to put these 3 on there? Was it like their boss at their English headquarters, or was it passed down from somebody in the Pokemon company, not Game Freak, the Pokemon company's like higher up of TCG in Japan? You know, because they could have passed it down, and it could be like that. It is intentional. They wanted to make like a cheeky hint that we would never know. This is for 2024. I don't know exactly when it's coming out. Does it come out in 2025? Because this is another
Forces
theme.
is already out. I think
but
this is a part.
But he's asking, like, is this part of the holiday calendar for 2024?
If it is, that's already out in
the
stores right now.
Okay.
I don't think so.
It is. I went to Target the other day and they had the holiday calendar.
Yeah, but also
I'm saying, is this pack out? But then at the same time, like,
this pack is out. If
in a picture, like somebody has it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
I think too, something like to note about all this as well is like, I don't know that this is the case for Temporal Forces, but a lot of the times what the US sets will do is they'll actually take from 2 different Japanese sets and put them together, like and take some cards from this set, but some cards from this set to make our new English set.
Yeah.
So then that's another thing too is Totodile, Litten, and Turtwig. Totodile and Litten might have been featured in this Japanese set, but Turtwig was in this one, and just the English one combined those 2.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say if there's an assumption, this is the only thing I'd say. If there's an assumption that Legend ZA was pushed off to 2025 and it was originally supposed to come out sooner to align with the Switch 2, then I'm like, maybe this is actually that. I could see us literally looking back at this and being like, wow, these are the starters. Mostly because in the last video we did, this is literally what I ended up with. You guys had a slight variations, but to me, I look at this and I go, this feels right, not because it's a leak, but just because of the selection. And then, who knows where we're going to be in a year.
Yeah. In the last video, after we finished it, I went back and I was like, I forgot that a Gen 4 starter has to be in the group. Like, they have to be.
Bro,
so
I'm telling you,
I ended up changing it to this as well because if Totodile has more of a reason to be there instead of Piplup, then we don't have
it's got to be Turtwig or Chimchar.
Yeah, then it's got to be Turtwig because Chimchar, forget it.
All right.
So,
you say that, but that's a great segue to our next one.
To the random ones.
Which is the Pokemon Center one, not that one.
Not one.
That one, because that's the most credible.
All right.
Yeah.
So
right here.
Soul, this is your tweet. Read it for me because I feel uncomfortable reading your tweets.
Look at the picture. No, I don't want to read it.
Okay.
Let's just talk about it.
Just set it up. Set it up. So what is this? I don't know what this is.
It's a picture, Dusty.
I know. What is the picture?
Describe
it
artwork.
For listeners. We're a podcast.
This is artwork for a new... No. It's not new.
It's new.
There's a Pokemon Center. There's a Pokemon Center in Japan. I don't know if it's new or if it's like a rebranding thing. But yeah. This is a new artwork for it. For its rebranding or its opening, one or the other.
Okay. This is the new Pokemon Center.
Do you want to do the honors, Lumi, or should I?
You go for it.
When I first saw it, I saw that tower and I was like, "Oh my gosh, it's the prison tower!" Like, it's.
Okay, I'm on your line of thinking now. So that just the big picture idea is there's a new Pokemon Center in Paris. It's depicting Lumio City, and there are 3 there's a lot of starters here.
There's a twist.
It's a little off. It's not depicting. It's like this isn't a Pokemon Center in Paris. It's a Pokemon Center in I forget. Japan. Is it like Nagoya something? It'll be on his tweet.
It's
Nagoya.
It's in Japan.
Okay.
And the TV tower in Nagoya, that is that prism tower looking thing in the back, and it does look a lot like the Eiffel Tower.
Okay.
But just so we're clear, like that's why it's
right.
like this.
But when I first saw it, I thought it was because even the houses that are in it, that's in the artwork, it's so like Paldean, it's not like it's not Japanese.
Yeah.
No, it's European vibes and
those buildings, the shape of the buildings.
Yeah,
Okay.
Just everything. The Japanese don't have like the colors
Like the
that or
little
anything.
flag things,
Oh, I see.
you know?
I do see. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. These buildings. I was
so,
looking behind the
yeah.
tower. Okay. Yeah.
So there's that. And then so I did a little research, and basically the Nagoya TV tower that looks in the back is like, it's called basically, not officially, but people call it like a Eiffel Tower like copy, and there's
Sure.
like, it's the town is known for their European style stuff. You can read it in the tweet underneath. Yeah, if you go to this and then you just go to the, not that one, but this one. Yes, you can click on his. Yeah,
This one right here.
Shout
Mhm.
out to the Rowlett Herald.
Who is very knowledgeable on all these
Mhm.
things.
Beautiful. All
Um,
right.
you know-
Nagoya is known for French-themed architecture in gardens. Even the former TV tower featured below is modeled after the Eiffel Tower.
And that's
This is-
good enough. We can stop there.
This is great until the most. Okay, yeah, I see it.
Yeah, but yeah, so he's hating on people.
All right, we don't
He's
like
hating on people that. But you get the idea, right? So it's kind of like a mini Lumio City vibe.
Okay, I see
Alright.
that. That's cool.
So now we get to the starters. In the starters, the starters are the
back,
Kalos
Dusty.
ones, I
Yep.
think.
Thick.
Yes. So no, they're not the Kalos ones.
No.
In this picture, we have the Paldean starters because they're going to be in everything until Gen 9's over. So they're always around.
Okay.
And then we have the Unovan starters randomly.
Interesting. Yeah.
That's the most interesting thing for me about this is that the Unovan starters are in this.
I'm telling you, man. Gen 5
yeah.
Gen 5 ports on the way.
No.
We can talk about that another day, but yeah, so there's something going on with Gen 5, let's just say that. And then there's 3 random starters.
All right, so yeah, we see Snivy, Tepig, Oshawott. We get and then also the 3 Paldean starters, and then we've got Chimchar, which is a Gen 4 starter, fire type. We've got Chikorita and Bayleaf and Meganium. That's the Gen 2 starter. And then where's the other one that I'm looking for? Mudkip. Mudkip
which
is
at the
Gen 3.
We can't see it because of the banner, but you can see it if you scroll down.
Yeah,
a little bit.
Mudkip's right
Maybe
here. Right,
Oh,
Mudkip's
never
right in
mind.
the
Yeah,
beginning.
he's in the middle.
Right
My
in the
bad.
middle.
You can't see Chikorita. You see its evolutions,
Yeah.
but not.
So just
so
it's
on there. We
so
just can't
that's
see
a
it 'cause of
Gen
the
2
Yeah, yeah.
starter, that's a Gen 3 starter, and a Gen 4 starter. And it's all 3 types: fire, water, grass. So it'd be fun. It'd be interesting if, it is. It'd be fun if
It would be
if
just
this
like-
is not a. It's not that it's like a hint. It's not like they're trying to be like, hey, guess what's gonna happen. It's more of like Game Freak is thinking, or the Pokemon Company is thinking, okay, these are the games we have in works, right? Obviously Scarlet and Violet just happened. Those starters are going to be here. We also want representation for the other games that are coming up. Theoretically, what we're kind of like thinking about is if the Gen 5 starters are here, that would suggest there's some sort of Gen 5 game on the horizon. And then obviously the other 3 starters, right? Not their evolutions. Well, actually, that puts a little wrinkle. That puts a little wrinkle in this.
That's a whole thing, man. Because there's even a bigger.
Well, let me just
wrinkle
finish
with
the
that.
thought. So that puts a little wrinkle in it because it's like, okay, so those 3 starters just hint at Pokemon Legends ZA. I just want to finish the thought.
Yeah. Well, but like, the interesting thing is none of them have evolutions on there except for Chikorita has Bayleaf and Meganium. And the fact that let's assume for a moment this is a hint. This means that Mudkip, Chimchar, and Chikorita are our Legend ZA starters. Let's live
It
in that
fits.
world for a moment.
It
I'm
fits.
in it.
It does
I'm living
fit.
it.
But then also the interesting thing is them having Meganium here would suggest to me that they're not getting regional forms. So more likely they're getting megas. But Mudkip's here.
Mudkip already has one.
Mudkip's here, and Swampert already has a mega.
Guys, I'm telling
So
you.
would it get a new mega?
Yes, it could.
You know,
Why
I mean,
can't we?
It
Pokemon
can,
already
yeah.
have
But I'm just
multiple
saying
megas.
it's
Absolutely, it can.
Absolutely
can,
can. I don't
but
think that adds
it's
any
just-
wrinkle.
I think it does. I think it's because like if you look, let's put it this way: if Bayleaf and Meganium weren't here and it was just Chikorita, Chimchar, and Mudkip, I would immediately assume it's regional forms.
I think
I
think Mudkip. If Mudkip evolves into Marshtomp, wait. Oh, you're saying a new, so it's not a regional form. Yeah, they could give it a new Mega.
Yeah, like it won't be Colosium.
It'd be like a Mega Z.
Meganium.
It would just be Mega Z. Right?
I almost want to put this one on par with the last one we did as far as credibility, because these could have another reason that we don't know why they're there.
Yeah.
Like, like maybe there's something in this city that has something to do with a monkey.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Or
yeah.
They're like representative of something of the city. It's possible. The only reason I give this any kind of credit, and I wouldn't even think twice looking at this, if the Unovan starters weren't there, because they're just like, they're so randomly there, and it's them, it's the trio. It's not like a mix of them. If it was just like one random Unovan starter, it'd be a whole different thing. But because it's like Paldea, Unovan, and then what are these three? What are these three?
There's so many random Pokemon there as well.
Also, I think that just because Meganium's there, I don't think that means that Meganium might not get a regional form either. It's always possible.
Yeah,
it's less likely.
Yeah.
It's possible.
Is there anything to glean by looking at the other Pokemon or that are in this image?
I mean, maybe they also have cultural things with this city, but you'd have to research.
And like Pidgey's there. Okay, well, pigeons are common.
Yeah.
Like, so like some of them might just be green. Okay, well, squirrels are pretty common.
Yeah, there's this little thing of like, Tepig's cooking the berry and then they're eating the berries. So that's really just like a little piece of art.
Indeed, they're there because like, it's a waitress and a waiter.
Yeah.
You know what is interesting is the golden Magikarp.
I know, the golden Magikarp.
I was trying to figure
like a
that one
statue,
out.
Though.
It is. I think it is, but still, it's.
Yeah.
I started thinking about the Legends Arceus Magikarp. That's like in the houses. It kind of looks like it.
Yeah.
There's no.
Oh, I know what it is. So there is a castle in Nagoya, the Nagoya Castle, and it has something called the Shachi Hoko, which is a like golden killer whale statue.
Fun.
Interesting.
So yeah,
killer
I
whale.
imagine it's a reference to that.
Yeah, it probably is.
possible.
Magikarp is the killer whale Pokemon.
I mean, everyone knows that.
Right.
Dude, I love to
That's
see
common
Beautifly
knowledge.
getting some representation. This art is beautiful.
Could you imagine if it
Leafeon.
like had a split evolution that turned into a golden killer whale? Because I would be happy.
That would be
That
insane.
only the shiny can evolve into.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know people.
That would be a neat gimmick to do, right?
People
like,
were
only
doing
the
that
shiny can
online.
evolve.
People were like,
Cool.
that was like a whole fake month trend.
Still, though, we're talking about like these starters meaning something, but then like these, if these Pokemon were picked because they mean something, it's like gives it more like proof almost to me. It's like they put that much thought into putting these specific ones.
Right.
I love
here.
that Bayleaf is here.
It's
That's
so
so
good.
cool. Bayleaf, Mudkip,
You know who I love?
Chimchar.
That male Indeedee. That one's so cool.
This one.
Yeah,
He looks
Indeedee
so
is
mad.
Pokemon. Very
He's
underrated.
so cool. I love his
hair.
croissant ears.
Yeah, I know. Okay, so all right, so this is one.
That's that one.
It's a little less credible, but
Look at the other image I posted in this. Like, just hit the arrow on the side there, right on the picture. Yeah.
There you go.
Oh, sure, okay.
So it goes over the tower, which they also light up, just like the Eiffel Tower. So it's like a mini Paris vibe.
That is pretty
You don't
cool.
have to. You can like down there. It even says it. The Nagoya
The Thunder
Tower.
Tower.
Yeah.
Due to nighttime
It closely
illumination.
resembles the
That's
Eiffel
cool.
Tower. Mm-hmm.
It
So that
also
was-
includes a
was like-
bowling alley at the top.
I think you can stay in it.
Collision Voltorb, bowling ball. Just kidding. Yeah, this is the
There you go.
comparison right
Side by
here.
side.
That's pretty cool. Honestly, that is really cool. It probably is just a nod to like, we're going back to Paris. Like, let's do something celebratory for this.
Just at the same time, it's like they're putting that with these starters.
Yeah,
like,
why would they,
it's just a lot on
Why
top
would you
of
put
each
those
other,
starters?
so-
That is,
Yeah,
that
I
is
mean,
interesting.
I think if Black and White remakes were officially announced right now, I think that
This would
everybody would be looking at this
Yeah.
one really hard. You know what I mean? Because like
Totally.
it would be guaranteed that that's why the Unova starters are there. That's why the Paldean stars are there. So why are these three weirdos here?
Well,
Totally.
for me, I believe in Black and White remake.
I do
games,
too,
So
yeah.
that's why, to me, this is like okay, and it's
Right.
just like I even said in the tweet, but it's just like Game Freak to just give us a random group of starters that we never were expecting.
Well, that's
You know what I mean?
Yeah, like we talked about
Like-
that in the last episode. It's like we're trying to make all these
Yeah.
connections, but it's like really, They
It's
could just
friggin'
make,
Chimchar and
they're gonna
Chikorita.
make the connections with the evolutions. But
I think Chimchar is like the last of the. Like every time I see a prediction, the Gym 4 starter is usually always Piplup, and then like right behind that is Turtwig that I always see predicted to be in there. I don't really see anybody predicting Chimchar, but it fits the Gym 4 thing. Like that, there would be
At
a Gym
least
4
does
in
fit
it.
that.
I can
It's
see
just like you think
Chimchar.
Mudkip, and you're like, it has a Mega, so it can't be. But Game Freak
it
can do
could. It
anything.
could.
They can, yeah, they can give it a new one. The only thing is, I feel like, I mean, and look, here's the thing: Game Freak's not good at marketing. Let's be real. So I say this as if I'm assuming they would be smart at marketing. The only thing that I think they'd run into is that when they initially reveal this lineup, Chimchar, Mudkip, and Chikorita, I think people will be less inclined to pick Mudkip because unless they reveal that it's a new Mega Evolution, people are going to assume, okay, well, I can use this Mega Evolution that's existed for a long time, or one of these two new Mega Evolutions.
I think they'll promote it.
I just got so excited about like seeing the evolutions. Even if it was them, I just saw like the leaks happen.
I
Where
think
it's like, when you see their final forms and you're like freaking out.
I think Game Freak is going to want to do something where we like it's almost like a regional Mega. It's like
They
it's
might
like
do something
this
completely
Mega
new and you'd be
Evolution
like, whoa.
only occurs in Kalos, right? Which would be, you can call it whatever you want. It's the Aura Mega, the Z Mega,
Z Mega, yeah,
like
Z
whatever
Mega.
you want to call it.
Mega Z.
There's P Mega, right?
Mega A.
Mega P, yeah, Mega A, yeah, right. Like they could call it whatever they want, but that could essentially be what it is. Where it's like these Megas are so exclusive, they're only in in Legends ZA, which allows them to, like, I feel like, and then all of a sudden this like 10-year-old, because I think what Game Freak's gonna want to do is not just be like, there's more Megas. Like, yeah, that is exciting, but then it's like for new players, they're not gonna know which ones. New players won't know it, like which Megas are new and old. When I have a buddy who messages me and goes, "Hey, I just picked up Pokemon. Like, did you know this was in the game?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that's Beartick. Like that's nothing new, right?" But they're like, "It's so cool. It's on my team," and I'm like, "That's great, but it's not new." I think the Megas might have could have a similar. It's not really a problem, but there could be some confusion there.
Absolutely.
So to better brand these new forms, I think we've talked about this. They would call the Megas Mega Z or whatever they're gonna call it, and then it's essentially it's a regional Mega. That's how I'm gonna
something
think of
new that can be continued on to the next games, right?
Yeah.
'Cause you don't want it to just be stuck in Legends ZA.
But
that would suck.
Can't you see, like I think that idea is so clean if it's essentially, like, I mean, again, I don't know what it's going to be called, but like a regional Mega, I could see people now being like, I could see all these YouTubers and Fakemon artists making designs that are like, well, what if there's Megas in the Unova region? Like Unovan Megas. Like that's so easy to brand as a fan. So, and if it's easy to brand as a fan and to understand, then that's just going to be like, it means it's a better product. But let's move on to the next image. We're at about 35 minutes. Okay, here we go.
This is the big one.
This is the big one.
So please explain this to me. I have not taken a look at this. This is all the art clipped together. We've got a Piplup, a Snivy, and a Score Bunny, which is the go-to. This is like MNJ TV. Like, this is what all the big YouTubers were predicting. Yeah.
Like the day after Legends ZA got announced, everyone's like, these have to be them.
These have to be it because they are French inspired. They're European inspired. So break this down for me, Soul or Lumi.
Hey, you want to take it, Lumi?
Okay. I mean, you correct me if I get anything wrong, but basically they put out a calendar every year. This is something Pokemon's done for ages. And this is the 2025 calendar. Amongst the 2025 calendar, you will find all the Paldean starters, which makes sense because, like Soul said with the last one, the Paldean starters are going to appear in everything until Gen 10 is announced. That's just, they're the mascots of the generation. But also with them throughout these pages are Snivy, Piplup, and Score Bunny. They're the only other starters featured, unless you include Pikachu as a starter.
And Eevee. And
Eevee is Eevee in there too. But so
Junior,
that's kind of
Pumpkaboo, and
that also gives it more. It gives it more like I want to say credence. Is credence the right word? Because
Credibility.
anyway, it gives
credence. Let's look it up.
Credibility.
it gives it
Keep talking,
more
I'll look it up.
credibility. Yeah, it gives it more credibility because they're the starters for Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. So it's like, okay, we have them as starters, and we have the Paldean starters, and then we have these three.
Well, what's interesting too is this is the 2025 calendar. Guess when Legends ZA releases, folks?
2025.
It is. That's the biggest thing. That's the
Credence
biggest.
is
Look at the
the right
main
word,
page.
by the way.
Look at the first page. Like scroll up a little bit if it's not featured on here, or I guess right there. What's interesting too is if you look at the little mosaic behind them on the like title page, there is a Servine and a Superior, which if I wanted to read too much into that, I'd say that means Mega's not regional forms because that's Superior.
Oh, sure. But what you're saying is that looks like
that's reading too much into it.
Maybe.
But yeah.
No, but it looks like the sigil, the Superior sigil that is on, what is it, the Parfum Palace in Kalos?
Parfum Palace, yeah.
Yeah.
mean, I wasn't getting there. I was just
well,
saying,
I mean, that's just Kalos.
if they're saying Snivy and they're showing off Superior here in this form,
Sure.
that kind of,
I don't
seems
want 'em
weird to
have
me.
Megas. I don't want them to have Megas.
I think it's going to happen.
I mean, I would prefer regional forms, but, you're in denial if you're saying that there ain't a chance that it's
I know.
just
I've
Megas.
let myself think about it too much to the point because when this first dropped, I was like, we're not even getting a single regional form in this game. That's
I am
what I think.
so listen.
I'm at that point.
I will be really disappointed.
I'm at that point.
I think I'm really.
I started
excited.
at that point, and now I'm like, oh, but they have to give us like regional forms for the starters. They have to. They have to do the same thing.
I think it's gonna be
Want them
great to see all the new Generation 9 Mega Pokemon, like Mega Scovillain, Mega Lokix, Mega.
That's cute.
What's Smoliv's final form?
As long as they come into like they're usable. You know what I mean? As long as they're.
I mean, but you don't battle competitively. What does that even mean to you?
That is a great point, Soul.
Like, you're always like, it needs to be strong. I need to be able to use it in my playthrough. And I'm like, you can use anything in your playthrough.
You can use a Rattata, not evolve it, my guy.
I've done that.
That's not what I mean, though. I mean to be able to use it in another game.
Sure.
Yeah. I don't want it to be a mega locked away forever.
Yeah, this is a
I want it to be like a
subject for
regional
you.
form. Yeah, a
because
regional
of
form.
Ultra Necrozma. Yeah.
Yes, it is. It sucks.
Imagine if someone's favorite Pokemon was like Eternatus, like the G-Max form. The E-Max.
That thing's dead. That thing doesn't even exist.
Doesn't even exist.
It didn't exist in
Yeah,
the game it was in.
My favorite Pokemon is the fusion between Nihilego and Lusamine.
It's literally what that.
You can't even play it.
You
can't
know
even-
that's someone's though.
Yeah, it kind of
sucks, man.
like a weirdo
Sucks for them.
probably.
Yeah. Anyway, going back to this, the biggest thing is what Lumi said. In 2020, this is coming out in 2025, probably like around Christmas even, or I don't know, maybe at the beginning. Anyway, it's to lay out the year, right? It's a calendar of 2025. They are going to want to promote the starters of the game that's coming out in 2025.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, so this is just them saying it without saying it. To me, this is like one of the most credible things.
Sure.
Interestingly, too, Riolu also seems to be prominently featured in this, and obviously Lucario is a staple of Kalos and Mega Evolution. You know, even though it's a Sinnoh Pokemon, it is, when you think of Kalos and you start thinking of Kalos things, if you're doing it correctly, Mega Lucario should come sometime soon, you know? Yep. Also, too, if you wanted to read more into this, just in this little shot here, so not really studying them all, there's, you know, some Univo representation with Scraggy and that shot with Galarian Darumaka, regular Darumaka's there too. So, you know, just kind of throwing that out there because I think the Believers and Univo remakes believe it's coming next year. There's Floette as well, so another like Kalos representation.
True.
Yeah, I wouldn't read too much into those things.
And the backgrounds, especially like on number 4 there, look very Kalosian.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I would go with the Riolu thing because it's possible that Riolu and that guy Rai, I think, the guy from Legends Arceus could show up in Legends ZA, and it could be a big part of the plot that Riolu's like either given to you so that you can be the first one to Mega Evolve. You know, the whole Kalos thing where the first Pokemon and its trainer to Mega Evolve was a Lucario. So
from
it's
another
possible.
region.
2025 calendar. I had given up on these starters, this trio, but now that we're here, now that I'm seeing this as a promotional merch, could be.
It could be, man. It could be. I think what's exciting is to just think about like, yeah, it's like we're gonna have so much clarity in a couple months.
Maybe next month.
I think this is a good time to segue to the Switch
weeks.
2 rumors because, listen, these are imminent. The Switch 2 might have already released by the time we release this episode. Not released, but like be announced.
Released.
Like it's literally going to happen any day now.
I mean, are we not posting this 2 days from now?
We will. Yeah, we will.
Okay.
Then
it ain't getting announced in the next 48 hours. Huh?
So we got a story about the Switch 2, but first, let's thank our sponsors.
Oh, okay. All right. So we want to give a special shout out to our mythical tier supporters: Hayden Segal, Indiana Jenkins, Ryan Amphosinus, Cornet Highlander, Tyler Low 15, Primal Gray, Solid Skeleton, Matt Hale, the Pokey Kid 01. Then we want to give a special shout out to our Arceus tier supporters: Young Smokey, Case, and Hayes. Almost mixed the names there. And we want to give a Gigantamax size shout out to our Game Freak Inc. level supporters: Drogame, Bramtastic, Rilo, and Sheev Burger.
Thank you guys. Yeah.
Wow.
Man. What were we going to say, Soul?
I'm saying wow is what I'm saying.
Wow, dude. You guys are supporting us through the biggest drought. It's actually funny that there's actually kind of a tick up in viewership, even though there's no game on the horizon. But I don't know. We've been doing a lot of really fun stuff in the Discord, in the private Discord. Doing like a lot of like just live calls. The battle league has been a ton of fun. I feel like last week we had like 2-hour sessions just like chatting it up with the with our members. But anyways, we are so grateful for all of you who make this show possible. Yeah, you guys really go above and beyond, and it means a lot. We've got a lot of plans. Lumi and I were on a little strategy call the other day, and I heard him thinking. He was like thinking 2 years from now the way I think about like 5 years from now, where I'm like, this is the vision, and Lumi was like, bro, this is the vision, and we were like in total lockstep. And there's so much stuff planned. If you want to support the podcast, if you listen, just $5 unlocks so much. Not only do you get access to our secret Discord where you can interact with, I think we have over 100 people in there now. This is a private Discord. It's secret. Like it's not, this isn't for the riffraff, right? These are like friends of the show, right? These are like hardcore fans, right? And it's a great place to interact with us also and give feedback, right? Like we just made 2 new channels for like not only suggestions for what kind of show, like episode topics you want to see, but we also made a channel for what kind of guest or who specifically, like what Pokemon creators you would like to see on the show. Because we might be able to, there's so many people on our radar. There might be even more people that are actually better suited to be on the show. So those are just 2 ways.
We can't watch them all. We don't know every YouTuber out there.
Yeah, we try.
But those are just 2 ways you can give back. The biggest perk is you get access to our entire archive of bonus episodes. Throughout every month, we put out bonus episodes. With some of our guests. Like there's a bonus episode with JPR Pokemon Trainer, Infamous Trainer. We had Ron True Green 7 on recently. Cupafee was on recently. Who else did we have on recently?
A lot of people.
Yeah.
You said Infamous, yeah.
Who else did we have on?
Jake. We just had Jake.
We did have Jake on. I don't know if he has a secret power
Steinberg.
episode. Loxton.
I don't
there's an episode. There's a exclusive episode with Loxton. I'm sure you know who that is.
We've got ones just us as well. From recently because we did one while Soul was still in Italy.
You get it.
He's still in Italy now.
Yeah.
But
There's also discounts on our merch. We have a ton of great merch. We're cooking some stuff up for Halloween. I'll save that plug for another time, but you'll definitely see that. Anyways, long story short, Battle League super fun, and yeah, thank you for the support, everyone.
Thank you.
Let's go over here now. We've got a new article by Game Rant. They did not source this info. This came from somewhere else. But guys, I'm so excited. The Switch 2, Switch 2 is imminent, right? This is not a drill. It's not 2022. It's 2020. It's the end of 2024. Switch
This is
2
not
news
a drill.
is imminent.
After all this, how many times have we heard it? That's the real question.
Yeah, right. And here's something else you've heard before. The reason why I'm so excited for the Switch 2 is because these new rumors are suggesting that the Switch 2 might have dual screen capability. And guys,
we have heard that for a while, so it's possible.
Yeah, but we're like about to actually find out the reveal. What do you think? This is interactive, right? I'm going to ask a question. You guys respond. What does dual screen make you think of?
It makes me think that ports won't be coming until the 30th anniversary at least. Hold on to your hat.
I agree with that.
Okay. Well, what else does it make you think of?
But at least they might be coming.
What Nintendo console
the DS, bro.
Wii
has
U.
dual screen? The Nintendo
Wii U.
DS. The Wii U.
Nintendo Wii U.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. The 3DS.
The
right?
2DS.
The 2DS XL.
The new
2DS XL. Yeah. There's so many consoles. And I just feel like dual screen on a Switch feels so natural, right? The Switch there's 2 modes of play. The Switch has 2 Joy-Cons. And now Switch 2 could have 2 screens. I'm not going to get into like mechanically how it could actually work. I was thinking about it. I guess I don't know if this is how it would work, but like it made sense to me that maybe there's like you just kind of push this down and now you have 2 screens, like my old slide phone that I had before an iPhone. Right?
You mean like the
Yeah, like
you
slide it down and all of a sudden you have 2 screens.
it would break eventually, man.
Yeah, I mean they're all gonna break.
It
Listen,
was called a sidekick.
they could do the clamshell. That'd be crazy. But my biggest thing is like the Switch 2 when it launched. I feel like a huge advantage that the Switch 2 that the Switch had on launch was that they were able to port all of these Wii U games. I think it would make a lot of sense to bolster sales if they did HD remasters or whatever of like 3DS games, right? Also, we're about to go to Kalos. You know what they could do? You've heard me say it before. For new listeners, what I'm going to say is that we could see an HD port of X and Y. I feel like in a lot of ways, Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, right, the game that went alongside Legends Arceus, was kind of just an HD remake. It was a faithful remake. I think there's an opportunity here for us to get that kind of port. And then it's like, that just opens the floodgates of like all of these older Pokemon games being accessible on the Switch.
I would say take a shot every time Dusty says ports, but I'm also for drinking responsibly. So
Yeah. What were you going to say, Soul?
I'll give it to you that it would be fun and would make sense for them to do like a HD port of X and Y. Like maybe it's on the table, but
yeah,
I don't think it's gonna happen. But
it also makes sense for them to release a Pokemon game where you won't fall through the map.
It would make sense.
And yet,
the biggest thing against it is really just that they would want to remake it. I think they're gonna want to remake games that they haven't remade.
Especially because like if we do get Black and White remakes next year, well, X and Y would be pretty close to like being next in line. Like maybe they do Johto before it, but like either way, wait, X and Y will be soon.
What do you mean X and Y? You think X and Y is going to get another remake?
Because what do you mean another? X and Y hasn't gotten remade.
We're getting Pokemon Legends ZA.
Oh, you're right. Can you go to Coumarin City and Legends ZA? Because that's not a Kalos remake. That's a Lumio City set game.
That's your remake.
It is by definition not a remake.
Sure. Okay. Yes. Not a remake. Yes. Technically,
that's like saying Gold and Silver's a remake of Kanto because Kanto's in it.
You're right. But this Pokemon Legends ZA is the Kalos revisit. That is what that is.
Yes,
you are in denial as a Kalos fan, but that is what that is. We're not getting another Sinnoh game. Pokemon Legends Arceus but we
got
Sinnoh
2.
remaster.
We got a remake and we got that.
We got a remake,
as you're calling it.
We got a remake.
Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl, and Legends Arceus.
Yeah, it's a faithful remake. It's no Heart Gold Soul Silver. It's no Oraz.
I mean,
just because it sucks doesn't mean it wasn't a remake, though.
Yeah,
you could still play. You could still play the Sinnoh adventure that you know and love.
Like it or not, it's not copium. It really isn't, because I enjoy every Pokemon game. I love Kalos the most, but I don't have any kind of like special, I need it. feeling about it. Like I didn't expect it next year, and I don't need it next year. Now that they've told me I do, but
Yeah.
but it is naive to assume that X and Y will never get their traditional Omega Ruby, Alpha Sapphire, Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl, Fire Red, Leaf Green style remakes.
I think on paper that makes
agree.
sense, but I think what doesn't make sense in my mind is that these 3D Pokemon titles, now that we're entering the era where these 3D games, people want these to be remade. That doesn't make any sense to me. I feel like the 3D games don't need to be remade because they're already in 3D. The point of
that's
what would they do? Are they going to make it like Scarlet and Violet?
For the record,
challenge.
That is because you are a person who I imagine has a 3DS somewhere in your house and the Pokemon X and Y cartridges in your house. But you have to think, for the record, I'm not saying X and Y is getting remade next year. I'm really thinking like maybe even Gen 11, because I bet Gen 10 they do something with Johto or Kanto because it's like a celebratory gen. But if in Gen 11, so we are talking 6 years minimum from now, right? Like around that. In Gen 11, 6 years from now, X and Y will be they came out in 2013, so 6 years from now they will be 17 years old. 6 years from now they will be 17 years old. If they are 17 years old, there are children who this is 17 years from now. Dusty, if Kaylee has a baby this year, this kid will be 17 when he plays the X and Y remakes.
No, you got it mixed up, Louis. He won't be 17.
You're right. Yeah. If someone was born,
if
someone was born, he would be 6 though. He would be starting to play Pokemon. So he's someone who's never played an X and Y game.
I'm with
right?
you. I'm with you on
that. And kids that were born then who couldn't play Pokemon games because they couldn't even freaking crawl yet, they will now be 17 years old. So what I'm saying is that's a big distance of time, and Game Freak knows that. Sure, we can port X and Y, drop it on there, or we can remake it by putting some kind of title before X and some kind of title before Y, like they did Gold and Silver, and we can make a butt ton of money from it.
Yeah,
and they are absolutely going to do that.
Yeah, I think
there's people.
I think the Nintendo Switch has proven. Actually, even the Wii U, Nintendo has proven that if they make a HD port of a game, they can sell it for $60. And I think the idea as Pokemon fans, right, we have this idea that like every game needs to be remade because earlier when there was only 5 generations, every few years we got remakes. I'm starting to believe that remaking every single title is an impossible task, or if it is going to happen, it'll happen over the course of 100 years and not right after another.
The problem is that it's just easy money, though. Do you know what I mean? Like,
well,
it's literally all the new kids will buy it, and all of us will buy it. It's like re-releasing their game.
Which one is the easy money?
Just making a remake.
No, I think that's not easy money because with a remake, you have to actually.
It's less effort.
You have to redesign the Pokemon. You have to create a new. You have to make the game and story functional in a new engine. I think what actually makes sense is to do an HD port and sell it for $60. And
it's weaker, bro.
You look at the sales of Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, and then you look at the sales of the virtual console sales of Red,
but
Blue,
that's
and
not
Green,
an HD remake.
Promise you.
No, you're right, but that's not an HD remake.
It just makes more sense because it's also
it's also not sold in person, right? There's no physical cartridge. Listen, my main point of bringing up it's not an opinion. I think what I'm trying to say is that with the Switch 2 coming out, if this, right, okay, Nintendo Switch 2 might have 2 screens as suggested by one industry insider, right? I think this is so exciting. Yeah, because right here, while 2 screens may pave the way for Switch 2 to support DS and 3DS libraries, they would also complicate development, increase the console's manufacturing cost. Okay. I don't know. Those people that grew up with the 3DS, that grew up with the DS, now have expendable money as adults. And I think the clan, I don't know, man.
Maybe a lot of them do not.
Yeah, in this day and age,
in this economy.
I mean,
I just think it makes a lot more sense for what this creates is an option for Nintendo, for Game Freak, for the Pokemon Company to say, you know what? let's spend, and this is what we saw with BDSP and Legends Arceus. Game Freak wanted to spend its resources fleshing out new characters, new parts of the timeline, new Pokemon. Do you disagree, Zach? I can see you over there.
I don't disagree.
I think Game Freak wants to create new stories with this old material.
I agree.
And we could, you are right. We could, here's the thing. It could go either way. I still think a dual screen Nintendo Switch actually could make BDSP or any game like BDSP. I think it can be. I think it can make it just more like just a better game because the main issue.
Do you really think that though? Because
because the what is it called? The Pokéetch? Is that what it's called?
Yeah,
the Pokéetch. Like you had to you had to control the touchscreen functionality with a cursor with like the D-pad and A and B. Okay. But they could just slap that on the bottom, and now it's like these faithful remakes are just like they're just way more intuitive.
I just never saw the point. I'm not gonna lie.
Think though,
but you don't replay games. I replay games.
No, but even when I played it the first time, I was like, I'm never gonna use this stupid function on the second screen. Like the only reason I ever like the second screen. Use it. I know, but I'm just saying, like, is it really that big of a deal? I don't know. The only reason I ever liked the second screen is that it was touchscreen and that you could like tap the things instead of like moving the stick. Yeah, I would literally use the stylus to tap all the time, and it was fun and that was good.
Yeah,
I will say too. I'm not denying. Just so we're clear, I'm not denying that ports will happen. I'm a big believer in ports, but I don't think it has to be a question of ports versus remakes because, like, look at it this way: in 2016,
they just keep selling it all.
In 2016, they released red, blue, green, yellow. They released those as ports on the 3DS, and then literally just 2 years later, they released Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, which is essentially a yellow remake.
But
so, like,
different.
it is different. Well, and all the remakes were different except for Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl, right? Fire Red Leaf Green had the 7 Islands, Heart Gold Soul Silver had some changes, and the Pokeathlon, Battle Frontier, and then Oris was like, I mean, that was the biggest one. We're adding Megas to the story,
and that's all good. But I think what we're going to be seeing in the next 10 years,
HD remake stuff,
which
is trash.
Listen, I'm not arguing it because like I'd rather this. I'm not arguing it because I'd rather this. Guys, I'm not arguing it because this is what I would like. I'm saying I think it makes sense for Game Freak, for Nintendo. You're telling me. You did tell me. You told me they would want to do the least amount of work for the most amount of profit. And if they release a game that's an HD remake and they put it on the Wii U and it's $60, it's a game that came out on the Wii, right? They did this with the Switch all the time. They just they just did an HD version. I'm thinking of Donkey Kong. I'm thinking of Mario Kart. Like, that's what they do. And now that the Switch 2, if the Switch 2 has 2 screens, it would be so easy for them to just say, guess what? It works for all these reasons, but also now we can put this 3DS lineup on the Switch 2 and call it HD, because it is HD and it will look nicer, and they will put that effort into it. But now they don't need to create a whole new game, and instead Game Freak can focus on these really creative titles and actually make the main series games good.
I think though that they've proven that that's not where their priorities are. I mean, just the formation of Pokemon Works seems to point to no, they intend to recreate old stories rather than paint them.
No, but Pokemon Works would be. I think we were under the assumption that Pokemon Works would be doing like it's partially Ilka. They'd be doing faithful remakes. Yeah, we don't know anything about Pokemon Works. But I would imagine that title,
if they're doing faithful remakes, I don't see why they would do a remaster and a faithful remake. A port, sure, like a straight port, like the Gold Silver Crystal, Red Blue Green Yellow ports. Were not remasters. They were just straight ports. I don't think that they would do a remaster and a faithful remake. Like, why would you do, hey, look, here's an HD remaster of Diamond and Pearl, and also here's Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl? What?
No, they wouldn't. They would pick one. And then I think we have like collection brain as Pokemon fans where it's like everything needs to fit neatly. And I think it made sense for them to say, let's just do a faithful remake. Okay, fans didn't like it, but it sold well. What if we don't change it and we just, I don't know, man. I just think it's like way cleaner for them to just give
It's
us
the
like an
worst, though.
HD
It's
version of
actually
a
the
game
worst.
that already exists.
Do you really want that? I really
No,
don't.
I'm saying
I want none of the above.
So
and
I'm not saying
would
I want it.
Forest.
I know. I'm asking. I'm
Actually,
asking.
you know
I'm not
what?
saying that you're saying that.
No, you know what?
I don't want it.
I think
This
I
is
do.
the most
No, I think I do want
not
it because
exciting thing to me ever. It's like
I
not
agree.
exciting.
I'm with you. So I want, instead of, I don't, people are looking at Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl and they're saying, okay, so we either get more Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl style remakes or we get HD remasters. I'm like, no, why don't they look at the game that sold well and was received well critically and from their fans?
And what was that?
Oris, where we take the story and we bring it into the modern world.
Here's
not
the
just
thing,
like
Lumi,
with
Lumi.
looks, but also with things like Mega Evolution and Primal Reversion and the stories tying into what is going on in the Pokemon world right now. That is the direction that they should go. That's the direction where I'd want. That's the direction I would way prefer to HD remasters or Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl.
Let me say this: when
buying one of these games, like I've never bought one, and I won't unless it's like literally a sprite version game that is now in 3D like graphics that are great. But like even as a Pokemon fan, like you don't really care that much about the graphics. Like I'm not gonna buy the same exact game.
Why would you? I feel like so many people would buy it.
I wouldn't.
You're making an old title accessible. It's in full HD, and then they can also add all these like additional things to it. They can unlock like mystery gifts that like weren't available at the time. They could do things that were already in Game Freak.
If they did all of that, that's
said
different.
My whole pitch.
But if they,
that would be part of it. That would be part of it.
If they just drop the same exact game with better graphics, it's like nah. I don't think I'm gonna do that unless it's like it's been a while since I played it. That's different. But
yeah, all of these games, it's been a while since you've played it.
I can still play
because the other benefit
right now.
I think the other benefit of having these titles on the Switch too is now they're all accessible with Pokemon Home. Like Pokemon Bank is closed. I think Game Freak would want all of these old titles to be accessible to new players and old players, so it can all function together.
Yeah, that's the biggest point to there being ports eventually. And I do agree with Lumi. I think there will be, but I don't think it'll be next year, not for sure. I mean, for sure.
I don't know what year it's going to be.
If they would have it next year, they would I think they would go, okay, we've got it done, but you know what? Shelf it, because this just makes sense to market on the 30th.
Sometime in the Switch 2's lifetime, that's probably where
I think I'm struggling why you guys don't think this is like plausible. I feel like when I say my point, you go, I don't want that, and I go,
it is plausible.
I don't totally want it either, but I think things are lining up.
It's plausible.
I think things are actually lining up in the. I think things are actually lining up in the opposite direction. I think the formation of Pokemon Works shows that they are more likely to remake old games or old stories than they are to remaster them.
In a lot of ways, BDSP is literally a remake. I think the word is remaster that we should use.
It absolutely.
It's a remaster.
I mean, it technically,
it's
if you want to be real,
2D game.
It did change things. It just didn't on the scope of past remakes that we had gotten. Because like it did change the underground. It changed the post game stuff was a little bit different. Contest worked a little bit differently. The kind of like what you're saying with your remaster ideas, they added the mystery gift stuff in there.
I think that's all possible, and I'm pretty sure a lot of HD games do that, where they'll like unlock things that you couldn't get originally. Yeah,
I think we can't know. We can't know what's going to happen next until we see if that black and white remake comes out. Because if there is another remake,
that looks like.
Yeah, if there's another remake, then we're just like, okay, they're going to stick with remakes. Like they're going to keep doing remakes. And I'm not saying that I don't think that remakes cancels out ports. I just think it cancels out an HD remaster re-release game. You know what I mean? A whole game that is costing $60. No, I'm not buying it.
Well, and that's my thing.
Just port it and put it on the shop so I can download it for 30 or something.
And that's my thing too. Is I feel like a remaster, that if they're doing remasters, they're not going to do ports and they're not going to do remakes, in my opinion. So my thing is, if you do remakes, you also leave the door open to still do ports too.
And
so
you're right.
And so they can release that classic collection that we discussed with Jake.
Sure.
But if you're going to remaster these games, ports are irrelevant. Why would I buy Pokemon Yellow when I can buy Pokemon Yellow remastered?
Yeah, I think what I'm talking about is these like recent games, right? I'm not talking about the classic games. The classic games are the classic games, and we did a whole video on that. But I think these like more recent titles are not I mean, they are classic.
They're
they're just not that recent anymore. They're becoming the classics. Like it's just like Lumi
Diamond
was
and
saying.
Pearl's
Like,
classic.
even the people that are really young right now, like they didn't play X and Y. Like Lumi's old now, and their generation underneath him is coming up.
X and Y was 11 years ago. And on October 13th, it'll have been 11 years since X and Y released. Black and White next year turns 15 years old, or maybe it's this year it turns 15 years old.
Sure.
No, I think it's next year. These are not by any means a kid that was born in Black and White is going to be driving next year. It's totally classic now.
The main thing, though, I know you're gonna say, Dusty, and
No,
this would be cool. It would be cool for a Sun and Moon.
So
but
I think all the 3DS titles, just because for listeners, I'm looking at not art, but HD gameplay of Sun and Moon.
Like on a hacked.
Yeah, and you can look this up. You can look up HD Ultra Sun, HD X and Y. Like the footage exists, and this would be beautiful to play on my Switch. I think because then I could play it on the TV.
It would
makes
be
a big
for
difference.
me just because I love it so much. That's the
Exactly.
only reason.
That is my point. When you don't care about something, you're like, well, I'm not going to buy that. But I'm like, there's people who love it. I think, anyway.
I would
the
only
3DS
buy
is
this
still
because
active.
But that's my point. That was going to be my
bank.
point, Lumi. That was going to be my point, Lumi, though, is that the kids right now, they don't have 3DSs, man.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have them. Nobody's playing this.
They don't,
exactly.
but the longer
So you make it available.
But the longer you shelf this, it's the same reason that if tomorrow they say it's the same reason that you want the classic ports collections because it's been so long since you've played those games. So, yes, it's been a while since we played Ultra Sun, but guess what? Every day that goes by is a little more money they'll make from releasing an Ultra Sun remaster because it becomes more and more classic. According to Progressive.com, that's an insurance company for those who didn't know. A car becomes classic when it is between 10 to 25 years old. So if we apply that logic,
X and Y.
Sun and Moon is not yet 10 years old. So Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon is not 10 years old.
My dad would always be like, that car's a classic now.
Now I know that it's 10 to 25 years old.
Like
you now know. Lumi fact of the day.
Yeah, it's a good one.
But, so X and Y is now classic. Black and White, it's been classic for a little bit. Black 2 White 2 has been classic for a little bit. But Sun and Moon's not quite there. And I think they would wait until it is 10 years old at least.
I have two thoughts. One, I was going to say earlier, where is this? I'm just kind of second guessing this right now. So Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, they sold more than Heart Gold, Soul Silver. They sold more than Leaf Green, Fire Red. They sold less than Let's Go because that's on the Switch. They sold less than Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, which was on the Switch. So yeah, Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire actually is pretty.
Best 3DS
it did
one.
sell well. So what I was gonna say is, I was in college when Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire came out, and I did have a lot of fun with it. But also, and this could have just been me being on the internet, but I feel like those games felt like the community, at least online, were very negative about Omega Ruby Alpha.
That's how everyone is every single time, though, bro.
I think, I think people are pretty negative about because people were pretty upset about obviously the Battle Frontier thing, and that was like the worst thing anybody's ever done. But those games got a lot of praise. For one, they got a lot of praise for like what they kind of changed up about the region, like the Marvel City redesign. They got a lot of praise for adding new Mega Evolution. You have to think this was kind of new for Pokemon. Pokemon wasn't really in the habit of adding this many new, easily accessible forms.
Sure.
Like usually at this point when they add new forms, it was something like a Giratina form or a Shaman form, a mythical or legendary. But here they are giving
Mega
out
Evolution.
a large slot of Mega Evolutions to Pokemon. Not only that, but the story change, like it incorporating Mega Evolution, that was highly praised. The soaring feature was incredibly highly praised.
No,
People
absolutely.
talk
There's a
about
ton
it
of
to this
good things
day.
in the game.
But that's what I'm saying is I think the majority, I think you were experiencing your classic Twitter Pokemon screwed every time a new Pokemon game
I did see a lot as well.
Because I didn't have a lot of friends in college who played Pokemon, at least not when I was like, I spent a lot of time alone junior, senior year. But anyways, okay, so that was just one idea.
It also is
because you were praising it, and I was
behind.
like, I don't remember that. But
it also is not far. Another thing too to remember is like some games kind of at first aren't received well, but then like Black and White was not critically received well when it first released, but nowadays people talk about it in high praise.
Right.
I think it's like the best.
Yeah.
But like another thing too is like Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, it's only right behind Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee. And then also too, it's still well above Legends Arceus, which, you know, those sales made them think, hey, it's a good idea to make another Legends game.
Yeah.
So.
And we've talked about that. I think Legends Arceus, maybe they're factoring a couple different things with the fact that like Legends Arceus only has one version. It was promoted in January. It kind of got snubbed after the announcement of Scarlet and Violet. Just an observation that I never really thought about, right? Like we're comparing these sales numbers of the remakes, but I think it's actually probably worthwhile to like factor in the player base of the console that it's on. So Heart Gold Soul Silver was on the DS, Fire Red Leaf Green was on the GBA, and they sold about the same. Like they sold within 12 million copies. So that actually feels like Heart Gold Soul Silver like underperformed, which is insane.
It was different. It was a different time though. I don't know.
But it's Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire sold within 2 million of X and Y. So that's pretty comparable.
That's another thing too is like video games, like this is the generation that like I'm a part of, at least, was more of a video game loving generation than like generations before us. So like there are more people who are going to be nostalgic about Pokemon Black and White than there are people who were at the time of Heart Gold and Soul Silver's release nostalgic about Gold and Silver. And what I mean by that is, I know that can initially sound kind of insulting, but like what I mean by that is just the Pokemon company has grown. Gold and Silver were, you know, Pokemon's a pretty new franchise when Gold and Silver releases. It's an established franchise and it's doing great, but you know, Pokemon's getting more and more players as time goes on. So likewise, when Scarlet and Violet remakes come out in 2097, there's going to be a very large fan base for that because a ton of people love, I mean, you see it with the new sales numbers, right? Red, Green, and Blue, the OG games, they're number one, but right behind them, this actually doesn't show it, but right behind them is Scarlet and Violet.
Yeah.
Right behind that is Sword and Shield.
Yeah.
It shows that Pokemon's acquiring more fans, which will then in turn build more fans who are nostalgic and wanting to buy their, you know, new games that come out. And I think too...
And their existing ports.
Yeah, and their existing ports. And I think too, like, you know, maybe... I'll use my sister as an example. She played Pokemon in Gen 4. She loved Diamond and Pearl. Never touched a Pokemon game after that. I think she did like play my X game after I was done with it or something. But
you were in the X games?
In large, yes, I was. But she did not play Pokemon after that. She never bought her own game for sure. But when Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl was coming out, she went and bought herself a Switch Lite and bought herself Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl.
Yeah,
because I think like
that's beautiful.
There's more of a nostalgia. Like I think the people now that are getting nostalgic for these games are more likely to go out of their way to purchase them than people were back when Heart Gold and Soul Silver were, who like, yeah, I played Gold and Silver, but I don't play Pokemon anymore, so I don't really care about it.
And I totally agree with you. And that is why I think like whether it's a remake, a remaster, or a HD port, Pokemon is going to want to make those titles available because there's a lot of people who have not experienced all the things that we've experienced, right? So going back to the Switch 2, and I really just want to, I think this is my closing thought. I thought
we were going to talk about something completely different.
What?
But I will talk about that too. Well, just have your closing thought and then I'll bring it up.
What were you going to say? What were you going to say?
It's a completely different topic, but it is on Switch
I thought we were wrapping up.
Yeah.
So yeah, my closing thought is I think when the Switch 2 happens, the Switch 2 is going to come out next year, and the year after that is the 30th year anniversary. I think it makes sense that Game Freak and the Pokemon Company would want, and Nintendo would want, a lot of Pokemon games available on the 30th year anniversary. Like, don't you think it wouldn't make a lot of sense if while they're celebrating the 30th year anniversary, the only titles you can play are Pokemon Legends ZA, and that's it?
No, there'll be a bunch of stuff.
Exactly. So I think there's an opportunity here for them to release ports. We talked about that in the other episode. They could do the HD remasters. I think that's a really easy way. Something that
we
I've
could-
always loved about and I think Game Freak does this on purpose. Something that I've always loved about my Nintendo consoles is that by the end of the lifespan of the console, you have access to like 7 different
Everything
regions.
you ever wanted.
What?
Everything you ever wanted.
Seriously. Like when my 3DS, I could play all my DS games. I could go to all those regions. I could go to the Gen 1 and Gen 2 regions through the ports, right? I could go play through all the 3DS games. And the Switch 2 is kind of starting to do that. Or sorry, the Switch.
Every region was accessible on the Gen 3 or on the 3DS.
Yeah. And they didn't need to do that. But I
You
think
couldn't
that's
play Gen 3 games, but you had Oris to make up for that.
I think that's intentional. So that's my closing thought.
We
think
could
Yeah.
make a whole episode about like what is going to come out on the 30th anniversary year.
Sure.
I thought we were going to talk about like, when the Switch 2 is coming out.
No, I mean, I don't think there's a point in speculating when it's going to come out. It's going to come out this month. If you have some thoughts, let me know. But we're
since
we're over an hour. This was going to be a
You're right.
45-minute episode. So
You're right, reveal. I'll just mention it, just that we're in the last 2 weeks of September.
Yeah.
And there's always a presents in September for Nintendo.
Yep.
But I think people have been saying early October. The reason it's important is because I think Legends ZA news comes with it, or not directly with it, like in the direct, but very soon after or beforehand. So like we are like in the windows. That's all I want to say. Like right now, I don't think this is getting revealed until October, like the first week of October, but that's just me. And these rumors, everything came from like a Chinese leak, so it does seem like
Give it
we
off
are
to
on
the
the
Chinese.
cusp. We're on the cusp
We're ready.
of getting some
Good
stuff.
job, guys.
If you guys, definitely let us know in the comments if you're excited for Switch 2. And let us know in the comments what you think the starters are going to be. If I could just ask you guys, like, are you excited for the Switch 2?
Yeah.
Because I feel like when I bring it up, you guys are like, you don't say anything. Like, are you excited for it? Like, the Pokemon games that we're gonna get are also gonna be like
Lumi is not
way more
excited,
powerful.
confirmed.
Are you not
I'm
excited?
sorry. Look. Here's the deal.
I will be excited when I see it.
Yeah, I think I'll get more excited when I see it. As of right now, there's not a Pokemon game that's been announced that's coming out on the Switch 2, so I don't care for it right now.
Well, it's probably
'cause I
gonna be
only play
backwards
Pokemon.
compatible. That's something else.
But
I'm
also too, I mean, just being real with y'all, I'm 23 years old. I like to play my Pokemon games. My wife likes to play her Pokemon games. I have to buy 2 of these. I'm not looking forward to that purchase.
It's
Yeah,
true,
that's
and
a
it's
good
probably
point.
going to be more. I mean, people are saying that it's
Oh
only
yeah,
going to be 400.
I saw someone
but-
say 400.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I saw.
But right
And
now,
I
what it's
hate that.
Yeah, what we've heard is it's 400. It's backwards compatible. It's got stronger like graphic and performance capabilities. It might have dual screen, like Dusty's saying. What else? There was something else. But the biggest thing, it's supposed to be called the Switch 2. That's the name. And
Screens.
the console that's coming out is supposed to be black and white. I'll leave you with that.
Listen, but my old Switch was black and white. That's normal.
No, I'm talking about black and white. Like the Joy-Cons are white.
Dude, that's
And
sick.
the thing, one's black and one's white. And
That's cool.
That's what we're gonna do.
That's
I
because one of the release titles will be Pokemon
Black and
Deep
White.
Black
HD.
and Fast White.
Yes.
I actually last thing
Comes
for real.
the-
Last
On
thing
the
for real.
3DS DX
No,
on the Switch.
Last thing for real. I was
Sequel.
looking up
3.
something completely random about Lumio City or Legends ZA being completely in Lumio City. That tweet from Nintendo, and they
Yes, sir.
say specifically in that tweet, it's coming out for the Nintendo Switch. They didn't
I
say
know,
Switch consoles.
Look,
It just
I've
says for the
s-
Nintendo Switch.
I've
doesn't
said
say
that
Switch.
for a while. I have said that for a while. People, for one, I do not think they would have been allowed to market that game if it was like as a Switch game, if it was for the Switch 2. And for
Sure,
2,
sure.
I think people read too much into that Nintendo Switch consoles. I think that
Consoles,
just
yeah.
for one, like the Nintendo Switch, the Nintendo Switch OLED, the Nintendo Switch Lite.
Yeah,
There's
totally.
3 different Nintendo Switch consoles, which
Just
does
to make
bring
it
me
clear.
to
Yeah, that makes sense.
I think we should, in the spirit of talking about the Switch 2, give our name predictions for it. Because
wait. I'm gonna read you the tweet. Right? I'm gonna read you the tweet right now from Nintendo of America on the day that Pokemon Legends ZA was announced. Watch to see the reveal trailer for Pokemon Legends ZA, a new adventure set entirely within Lumio City, coming to Nintendo Switch in 2025. Coming to Nintendo Switch.
I think the Switch 2 will be backwards compatible, so you'll play it on.
I do as well,
but, you know.
and that's what actually makes me excited about it more than anything.
Yeah.
Backwards compatibility makes it peak, and it makes sense that it would be because the Switch has been around for so long that they would do that. And anyway, names, I'd rather the Super Switch personally.
I like the Super Switch too. That's my favorite.
It's my favorite, but it too makes sense because there's been the Switch Lite, there's been the Switch OLED, there's been all of these names with the Switch, so to like differentiate it.
But it's also like, is it I don't know if maybe there's a chance that they would not want to have Switch in the name, so it feels like such a step up.
I don't think so, because
Switch has an identity, Yeah,
it's like because the Switch is so powerful.
PlayStation,
Sure.
The Switch
that's true.
So
like PlayStation and
iconic.
Xbox doesn't change their names; they just go Xbox.
They basically,
like 5, right?
I think what they
I'm
basically
afraid
do
of
is
that, though. I don't want to have like a Switch 5.
No.
It.
Oh, I think it'll be a Super Switch though. I like Super Switch.
So it's like whatever console does well, they milk it until it needs to be changed. So like Game Boy, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Advance SP. That's like a decade. And then it wasn't until there was 2 screens that they were like, all right, let's call it something else. And then that did well. So they said, okay, the 3DS, that's a new version of the DS. They kind of screwed up with the Wii to Wii U, but that was the same mentality that they had.
When we first heard
Switch 2
when I first heard like leaks or rumors about the Switch 2, it was always like it's just a Switch but better.
Yeah. So. What if it's like Switches?
It's D-Switch, so that when you spell it out, it looks like DS Switch.
D-Switch.
D-Switch.
Hit D-Switch.
D-Switch.
All right.
All right. That sounds good. Let's go do something else. See you guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you're listening to us on Apple or Spotify or anywhere else, please leave us a review. There's no reason why we can't be a top. But what is the chart? There's a gaming podcast chart. I see other YouTubers with this title of like top 100 or whatever, and I'm like, we might even be there. I don't even know. I haven't even looked. But anyways, leave us a review.
There's a
it
lot
helps
of
more than
gaming
you know.
podcasts.
Yeah, but we're up there. All right, I'll see you.
We are in quality, absolutely.
No, I think in numbers we're up there.
We are.
Listen. There's a lot of bad gaming podcasts.
Might have to cut this.
We didn't name anyone specifically, but I will. And then you cut.
Okay. And wait, say it again. 1, 2, 3.
But then I will.
All right. I'm gonna call them data points. We got some new info. We got some new
data points.
New
data points.
New official Pokemon resources.
Fun fact: I once stayed in this room last year for like 2 weeks.
Interesting. What did you
Fun
do
fact:
in the room?
I've never been in that room.
Slept.
Yeah.
Lived.
Fun fact:
All right, let's go.
I've never left this room.
Fun fact: Dusty has also lived in that room for 2 weeks, but no one knew.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
I'm actually
That'd be
there
impressive.
right now.
He's recording from the other side of your apartment or your condo or house, wherever you're in.
It's honestly
To the
great.
apartment, yeah.
I know you guys don't care, but like this is a new flannel.
No, it's sick, man.
It's warm and it's
flannel
clean,
season, man.
And it's thick.
It looks nice.
And
it looks nice.
And I'm drinking maple coffee and it feels like autumn.
What's the brand?
It does here too. For once, I'm in that kind of.
I think it's American Eagle.
Yeah, man. American Eagle makes some good stuff.
It looks nice. I would have never
God's
known that it
country.
was new, because.
Well, it's a flannel. It's like a little.
It's flannel, yeah.
It's designed to look a little
rugged.
Yeah, but anyways, it feels good. I just wanted to
look like a lumberjack.
I just wanted to tell you guys that. I just needed to get it off my chest.
I feel you, Paul.
All right, big stretch. All right, let's go.